So this is proof?
This is...
Yeah, all right. So
This is proof over here?
I don't know if
So here's what I do at this local Starbucks.
Is this real?
I don't know if it's real. I can tell you this, though. I don't like how Starbucks lids don't necessarily fit on correctly. It always drips. And I don't like the drip. That type of stuff is there. So I asked them to give me a Grande Pike in a Venti cup. So you don't have to fill it up to the top, but I just don't want it to... oh, here we go.
No.
Yeah.
No, you got it.
I got some left
No,
here.
it's wider at the top there.
Come on, don't act like that.
It's like a martini glass, dude. Most of the martini is from here to
Holy
here.
shit. Like it's like an
Will you
ounce.
fill it up?
Yeah, no.
So now you're
It's-
never going to be able to pour it in the next one without spilling it all
Yeah.
over the counter. Way to go.
That's true.
Way to go, Pete.
Sip it.
Yeah, Pete.
Fucking Pete.
It's only because
God.
of the cheap cups.
Look at his head shaking.
Oh! Hold on, we're getting back. Here we go. No, there's a difference. There's a 2 ounce difference.
Yeah, that the
Well, that's not
Can you get some?
that's not
That's
an
not
official
an
cup.
official cup. Got it.
Where is it?
Oh my God! What are you?
Where's the paper towel?
There's no paper towels right there in the coffee bar. All right, yeah, the bathroom's right around the corner over there.
Down there, right? All the way down the one
No, there's one right around. No, hold on. Oh Jesus!
Easy,
You old
relax.
man. It's just right on the other side of that wall. There you go.
Don't worry, it'll be okay.
Right, yeah, it actually,
Spilled
you know what it
water.
is? It's like the shellac that you put on top of the wood. Shellac, it's gonna be sealed from now on over there. Oh, this guy's still
I
going.
love a good shellac.
You gotta love a good. Who doesn't love a good shellac? Is this the right
We'll
thing?
clean it with a fine chamois.
Chamois. Somebody. Well, I won't put it on the podcast. Look at this guy. Jesus. Is that for the old man?
Yeah. Anything hit the floor?
No, come on.
It's a nice
As long as
coffee
it-
stain on the.
I didn't get it on my salmon shirt.
That's not salmon. That's as pink as pink gets, my friend.
Salmon.
But it is very pretty. It brings out your pink eyes.
You know,
Are you wearing your pink shirt on purpose?
when
today?
nothing makes me look better than a pink shirt and my Subaru.
I can't believe you said that without crispy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm all by myself. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna try not to spill coffee.
Schedule page? Hold on, let me get on the mic.
Yeah, we can.
You want a schedule page?
She's got to go like second week of June. That's,
She
that's
committed. She committed to.
I saw that. She's a
University of
volunteer,
Tennessee.
kid.
Wow, yeah.
She's a vol.
I'm excited for her.
Well, we're all excited for her, dude. She's our family too. That's it. End of story.
She's going to be a great attorney.
She's gonna be in the deep south,
Or a journalist or whatever the hell she wants to be.
No. Whatever she wants, whatever makes her happy. Oh my God, what is going on? How did you even find that?
The butcher.
I hid that from you. I'm not gonna lie, dude. You look really good in that.
The butcher of Montvale.
It really brings out your. It really brings out your eyes. Well,
Well, it reminds me of that wrestler. There was a wrestler.
if you're gonna throw that
pounds
on,
you need?
at least throw the freaking get the logo on. Let's get a little plug here for the Spine and Health Center over here. There it is.
In case you didn't think he was a good doctor.
Right now.
Now you know.
It makes me have respect.
Do you feel better when you wear the white coat? Well, if you actually worked and had to do like active release technique and stuff like that, and you didn't want to get your freaking clothes all dirty, you'd wear a lab coat. Yeah, look at the
A lab coat.
It's totally
Put on-
disgusting. That's where everybody's foot goes when I'm doing calves and hamstrings
Put
and
on
stuff
a
like
polo
that.
shirt.
I am wearing a polo
Put your
shirt.
shoulders up.
This is the lamest I've felt in a long time.
You look freaking fantastic. You're just really good, buddy.
should work here.
You would you want to?
Get a job here.
I might be getting rid of a young associate who's pissing me off.
I could adjust 4 people a day for sure.
So we have we want to help a lot of people this week. We have a goal.
Nice.
I sent out a company-wide goal because one of the things I want to do is create a little bit of uniformity and congruency amongst our company. I want it to be one. I feel like we have 3 different offices right now for whatever reason, and so we have a company goal of helping 1,000 patients this week.
What makes it feel like that? I mean, you got the same logo at every place. You got the same. So it's
Right.
just each place is kind of being managed by one person that
Is there.
doing- they have their personality. They're injecting their systems there.
I guess in essence that's
Feelings.
exactly what happened. Yeah. So we come to find out we had a great idea too. We're talking some practice management stuff here. Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us, right? So we were going to promote somebody. We created a promotion because we knew one of the things that we wanted to do is create a little bit more conformity and like having everybody having the exact same experience. And mostly because if one of our employees had to cover somewhere else, especially our one of our front desk team had to go to Closter, for example, it should be plug and play.
Yeah.
Right? So it wasn't. We come to find out, like even our intake forms got modified throughout the way. I'm like you don't even know how it happens. I guess you should know, but we didn't know how it happens.
Right.
I mean, like, you know, I'm like, I don't even understand. Why didn't you get this? So here's what happened. They booked. We wanted them to book a patient for the Montvale office. They called Closter accidentally, but they wanted to. So don't forward the phone call. Book the guy. You know, put the information in, and then let the Montvale office know, hey, by the way, just let you know that we booked this person. There was some information missing. And we're like, well, what is this? We don't have that information. Why not? It's on the intake form, and you know you have to have everything on the intake form. He goes, it's not on the intake form. We're like, of course it's on the intake form. It's not on the intake. What are you talking about? Send me the intake form. And it was not on the intake form. Like, they had modified the intake. I don't know who, I don't know when, but everybody
It's like you have a ship that has 3 different rudders,
Yeah.
all going in different directions, and the ship isn't going anywhere.
There you go. So we
Oh my
identified that,
goodness.
and we knew that, like, guys, if we want to really take this place to the next level, and we want to, in this environment, continue to expand and put more practices, we have a couple of ideas. We might be in your backyard soon. Better watch out.
So,
And-
growth and expansion is expansion of number of offices.
Yeah.
Have you optimized each office?
That's
to
what we're saying.
Be at
So,
capacity and
Right. So in order for us to do that in this environment, in our style of practice, because we're not in network and, you know, we're as close to cash, I guess, as you can be without being cash. But we have many more headaches than that. So we want everything to be kind of almost simplified, right? Here it is, like having a manual, having a thing. This is exactly what it is. And look, listen, you get to use your own personality. We don't want to micromanage a personality, but within the guise of what we have here. So we identified that it was not like that, and we knew it was our front desk team that was the portal. That was our WOW experience. Pretty much 90% starts there. So we wanted it to start there. So we identified this issue. We had a gentleman who was very, very eager and hungry, and he wanted some growth, or else he's going to have to go somewhere else, which, got it. So we created this position for him. And he was going to be a regional manager. We never had this, like a regional front desk manager. And he was going to be the one that made sure that every form and every document, and the way we, we answered the phones and how we did this, and the different technologies that we use for text messaging and all those types of things. And he was very good at delegating within that office and everything like that. So we created this. We matched I asked him what his 1-year goals were, what his 3-year goals were, what your 5-year goals. My coach is very good. Look at him. He's and I said, listen, I want to get you there. I don't want you to kind of get me to where I want to be. Here's my 1-year goal, 3-year goal, da. Created a thing, everything like that. I put so much time and effort into it. I was so proud of us. He resigned.
Why do you think he resigned?
I think it had 102% to do with money. Even though I matched his 1-year goal.
Let me ask you.
I probably would have exceeded his 1-year goal if he did everything he was
Maybe
supposed
he
to do.
didn't want that type of responsibility, but wanted that kind of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he an A player?
I'm beginning to find out maybe not.
So,
The answer.
Yeah.
so more money to a non-A player just to keep a body in the seat is
He would have been able to
never
perform that job.
perform the job. But if he's not an A player, he's not going to bring people to a level where you're your 1 and 3 and 5-year goals have to align with his so that they're not in conflict with each other.
Right.
And at the same time, if more money was going to be a question, that's fine. If he's an A player, he's worth more money because he's going to produce 5 times more than a B player.
Right. That makes sense.
So
I also think perhaps maybe he wanted a little bit more onto the back end of the business as well, like the business of the business, perhaps. And this really, it was a gateway, if you think about it, right? All right, now you're a regional front desk manager. You kill it in that, and then
he wanted
perhaps
wanted some kind of profit sharing.
No, I don't think it was
What you're
profit
really
sharing. Not
trying
yet.
to say.
No, I don't think it was that yet. I think it was more like, for example, he sees my vice president. You know, she started as a team physical therapist, and then built up. Now she's the vice president. So, would have there been a role in that leadership role for him? Yeah, perhaps in the future. But I mean, isn't this a stepping stone?
Do you have a
Well, you didn't convince him of it. Not
I-
convince,
well, I
but you
didn't-
didn't agree on that. Like there were
Right.
you didn't have the agreements.
I thought perhaps by creating a position that never existed before showed him our commitment to him with regards to his growth and our company.
Did you didn't ask him why he resigned?
He gave us it's just this is the right time for me to try to find out something else, that
How
type of
long
thing.
was a
Whatever.
year?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. So,
What are you gonna do?
however, we have already filled the position. Well, not that position. We have somebody in mind for that position.
With an A player.
We don't know. Brand new hire. We'll see what happens. There's other people out there who are good who just don't have the experience yet to have taken that position over. So we just need to have them gain some more experience, understand a little bit more what SHC is, and then once they do that, I have a feeling that you're going to rocket ship into this one.
What are your strengths and weaknesses as a leader?
Culture is my strength. I'm
I
gonna
agree.
say
I see that the way you act
Yeah.
with all your team, your
my culture and my
it's a very
personality are my
positive-
strength. Yes.
right. It's a very positive experience.
My weakness is I probably am.
Everybody loves Pete.
So then that will go right into my weaknesses, where not so much anymore, but I still don't love it, but confrontation. I'm not very good at confrontation. However, over the last 22 years, I've learned to be uncomfortable, being comfortable being uncomfortable, and I've done it, right? So I remember the worst day probably in my history was I was in, at the time, just west New York and Jersey City. So we're calling back about 15 years ago, where I just had the 2 offices before we really expanded. And, God, was it 08, 09? Crashing, everything like that, whatever it was, probably right around there. And I had to bring, out of my 20-something employees, I had to bring about 12 of them into my office to let them go at the same day, one at a time. And I was like, I got it. Like, my partner's like, just tell the manager to do it. I'm like, no, I was never going to do that, right? So that was a big growth for me, where I just had to go one at a time. Everybody coming out crying with it was like freaking out of a movie. I gave them a check. I'm like, hey, here's a check. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so sorry. There's nothing I could do. Blah 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 blah. And I had to let go of 12 people in one.
Remember
day.
the first time you fired somebody? I was sick to my stomach. I couldn't sleep the whole night before. I was completely sick to my stomach.
Was it a good person,
did
or
it.
was it a
Well, it
person
was
that
a
wasn't
good-
performing?
It was a good person who wasn't performing.
Yeah.
But I was a kid. I mean, I was 26 years old. She had been working in that office for quite some time. And I was new management, and I was 26, and the old manager, the old owner was, and he had been in practice for over 20 years, and I had to let her go. And it was funny because I was sick to my stomach. She wasn't happy about it, but it was the best thing that ever happened to her.
Right.
Yeah. I've had that.
Um,
Yeah, you've probably had that too, I'm sure.
Now I can
Yeah.
fire him.
Well, hold on. if you have a bad person, or you have a good person that's not performing, those are kind of easy. And I will. Can I give credit?
Well,
to
there was an
consulting
alignment.
firm?
There was an
Yeah.
alignment with the culture, and of course the practice grew thereafter. And everyone, it's usually a disconnect, and it's always good for the business. It's always good for the owner. It's always good for the employee when you dissolve it. It's like a
He recognizes that probably quicker than anybody in the history of
Yeah.
Earth.
Yeah.
And you're able to do that. That's a good strength.
Were
that
you
have.
always that way? Like it was always from the beginning.
I mean, I probably tried to hold on to people because I always see the best in them for a week or two too long than I should have. But
A week or two. A week or two. I'm like a year or two. He's like a week or two. There was I'm reading that book, Entrepreneurship, Beyond Entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
and they talk about, with regards to some people hold on to people too long, some people don't hold on to people long enough. Like, when do you give them more training versus when did you let them go too early type of stuff? And,
Hire quick and
50-50,
fire
quicker.
no,
That's
fire
Gary
quicker,
Vaynerchuk. Yeah. But,
Mary who? Wanted to bring in little children
yeah.
and yell at them.
You're gonna be his best friend. Why? We're gonna put this
I
out.
am his best friend.
You're his number
too
one
old
follower.
for
Truth.
When you were in school, do you remember what you felt like when you were in just learning? Like you're in the first year of school, you're taking all the basic sciences, and like what were you thinking? Like, I gotta get this over with so I can run a business, or were you like, I can't wait to apply what I'm learning to patients? Like, were you wanting to be a doctor?
You're gonna apply genital urinary
No.
Basic science. It was.
It depends on what it was, but I never really thought about.
Were you excited about doctoring?
I was excited about chiropractic,
Yeah.
but not all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means. I was, because I started out, I had already had a research paper published before I was even in chiropractic school on scoliosis.
Yeah.
So I was already into CBP, and so I was already, teaching.
Oh, your mind
That
was
was your
already
route.
there.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
already in my route, so I was just
But
going
you also
through
this
school.
wasn't your first career. You were
I was
you're a chef and
chef
stuff like
first.
that. So
Right, but were you of an engineering mind? Because CBP is so structural, is so engineering-like.
Yeah, I mean, I just gravitated to it because as I was going through, and I was a student clinic, and I always felt there was some weaknesses in the profession when I was starting to become uncomfortable with all the chit chat about like the curve structure.
what I do,
Right.
he hates it.
Right, and then telling a patient about it, and then adjusting them, and then having them feel better, but then have no follow up. Right. So I always said, to me, a chiropractic adjustment is phenomenal, but it just wasn't. As the research is progressing, even now, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
It's just not enough. It's great but it's not. You can't optimize your health.
We're turning into a Tylenol, is what you're saying.
Advil.
What makes it Advil versus Tylenol?
Anti-inflammatory.
Ah.
Tylenol's pain reliever.
There you go. Okay.
And it blocks glutathione. It's bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still an NSAID. It's still
Yeah.
It's still a
Right.
it's still an anti-inflammatory. But
Tylenol is?
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I didn't even know that.
It's not an opiate.
Yeah.
No.
Unless it's like
Yeah.
hydrocodone.
I just,
or whatever.
so that's how I felt. I just felt like it was masking. To me, it was a natural way of masking, but improving,
Better than the alternative.
better than the alternative. But I feel like there was more to it, So that's all.
There you go.
That was it. So
Dropping
No,
knowledge.
because he
over here.
spends so much time now on the space between the ears, and
What you're trying to say is.
No, just that like who I see you right now as a coach and somebody who talks about what they do. Everything is between the ears, not only for you as a doctor and your staff, but also for your patients.
Right.
Yet your practice is incredibly structural and, again, almost engineering-like.
Yeah, it's systematic.
Yeah.
That's first, right? So I think the mind, like I always say, mindset grows it, but the brain flows it, right? You got to have systems, or your place will fall apart, right?
Well, you also have to have results, right? So what you're doing actually provides results.
Everyone's going to get results,
Really?
right? You get results.
Right?
There's
get
always a
results.
result.
There's always
That's true.
right?
Some people get bad results. Some people get good results. But there's always a
Small results, big results.
I would say the blessing of chiropractic is everybody can get results of some type of results. There's always a benefit, right? So, but the level of your growth and the level of
He's judging me right now.
I'm
by
not
the way.
judging you. I'm using you as a perfect example.
Okay.
You have there's 3 offices that are disconnected, right? So
Yeah.
you're a wonderful. I always say, if you have a problem with business, ask Pete, right? So you were smart enough to recognize that there was a disconnect, and then you went through, and now you're going to simplify it. And then you tried to bring in this guy to make it right. So you do all the right things, but so that's the most important part, because if there's a disconnect in the systems, you can't grow to see the community.
We had a subluxation.
You did, and it was.
We still have a subluxation.
It was Atlas. It was C1. It was the entry point.
Yeah.
Right. So which I think is super easy to fix. But it would just become. It's going to be a training systems like, how as soon as you said it, how I see the offices is exactly how I see. Like every office should have the exact same, programs. They should have the same scheduling. They should have the same verbiage. They should all be trained on the same words. If I called here, there, or there,
Correct.
They should all say the exact same words.
That actually happens.
Yeah.
The stuff that is super superficial, like that we nailed, which is the reason why some of the stuff that was just under the surface we missed.
Listen, nothing's perfect, and you have a bazillion offices, and it's never going to be perfect, but. It is what it is, but that's how you control the growth, and then the mindset will just keep on feeding it. That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah.
So I have a course that I'm teaching right now to doctors on how to implement blood chemistry into their practices in a way that allows them to continue to be busy and to address cause and to address a hole in the functional medicine world where they really just don't understand blood chemistry. They're just using a medical model to apply natural therapies to help people with metabolic issues. But what we want to do is address the cause, right? Bring the chiropractic philosophy into that metabolic understanding of the body. So I'm bringing this cohort through, and we do on Wednesday nights, we do a live grand rounds. And, it's a small group. So I asked Chris, I want to, we're early in the program, and I just want to get to the mindset first, So we talked about each of their practices and where their patients are coming from and who their ideal client is, and try to get to that between the ears stuff first. How are you communicating with the patient? What is it you're even offering, right? And you said, what did you say? You said, the brain sends the message out, but what you feel in your heart is what brings it back.
Right.
And that was awesome.
That is the law of attraction.
Yeah.
That's the scientific, that is a proven thing. That's science.
So
Science.
Science for you science
how
guys.
would you
Yeah.
explain that? How would you explain that as a coach to another doctor?
I would say, and every single person I coach, it's very rarely their team. It's always the doctor,
Yeah.
right? So 99% of the time, it's a doctor problem, unwilling to do something or uncomfortable doing something. So when I coach them, I let them know. I was like, you think it goes out into waves, right? So the thought will send out a message. So now you're putting the message out into the universe or the parallel fields, right? The quantum, and then the energy of how you would feel having that is what will draw that
The
back.
magnet. That's the magnet.
That's the magnet. And so, you put it out there, and then you have to get inside yourselves, and you have to feel how it would feel to have that in success. And then the energy of that will elevate your energy levels into the quantum of that parallel universe and just and bring it back to
Oh
you.
God, I get exactly what you're saying.
And that's
I just got just fucking vibrations through my whole body right there, dude. It's
and
I
it's a
get it.
scientific fact, and that's how you can have all of these.
That's that flow state when you get that. Like you just had that vibration. I haven't had it in a while, but that feeling, like that tingle that you ever got, like everything is perfect right now. It's because you put something out there, you had that heart, and it pulled back in, and everything just felt perfect because that's exactly
and
it.
that's where you have to spend your time.
Try to find that. You got to try to find this.
You have it.
I have this. I don't know what this.
Well, whatever this goes out,
Yeah.
you have to then take yourself like what is
Probably
it
a good exercise.
Yeah, and so what is it? And this is what you should do with your team. What I do with my team, like you just set a goal for 1,000 visits.
Helping 1,000.
So
We help 1,000 patients this week. We don't call them visits.
Wait, whatever it is.
I thought he was gonna love
Well,
that.
Right, I do like
What-
that.
what-
What is it gonna feel like?
1,000
Right.
people, not 1,000 visits, right?
Right.
So
No,
Thousand
we helped
that
1,000
could
patients.
be 2,000 to 3,000 visits,
Yeah.
right? Because
No.
people do it multiple times. What?
Stop messing with my freaking thing. All right.
Get it right. What you meant to say was no, but so you shouldn't. The problem is setting a goal.
Yep.
Then so in our office, what we would do is we would set a goal. We don't ever do number goals, but I like that idea because you have multiple offices. So
And it was a team. Like, the
let's,
goal of that was not individual office
right.
goals.
Get the team together
Yeah.
on a call or however you set the goal with everybody all at one time. They were all together, or you just told it to one person. That person told it to the offices.
I just let leadership know what I was doing, and then they did a mass email out to absolutely everybody.
Okay.
And probably people who don't even work here anymore.
Probably, I like that. So
That's another.
So I think the way to do that to actually get it done properly was to send out the goal.
Yep.
But then it's not going to ever be attainable if they don't understand or energetically lock it in. So you sent out an email, and they read it. Dr. P wants this 1,000 patients.
I
to
think
see.
you would be very happy.
I want.
to see
There's no
those.
want.
Right. So
That's
what
not
I
the
would
way
be
it was
like,
written.
why don't you just, get on, so it's hard with 3 offices. You'd have to figure out the mechanics. But I get in the office, I'm like, let's set a goal for blah, 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 blah. Close your eyes. Everyone got their eyes closed? What does that feel like? What does that goal feel like to you guys right now in the office? Okay, Jocelyn, explain to me what that feels like with your eyes closed. What is the energy behind that? Miguel, bang, boom, bang, bang. We go through everybody, and they encompass that energy. And that's the energy I want us to have pre-shift for the next week
Got
so
it.
that we can get it. And then I'll go through them on the shift, the huddle, and I'll be like, okay, you remember your energy? And then, like we talked about, I'll say, create like every single time we look at this.
Oh, that's
this
your
is
that's your
gonna be
token.
we're gonna have that energy of that 1,000 visits. Let's
Yeah.
go, and I'm gonna put that there.
That's your
And you can
anchor.
leave those
and
everywhere.
leave that in the break room. Leave
Yeah.
that in the bathroom. I have
Yeah.
them from some of my goals in my house, in my mirror, my bathroom.
That's like Inception. There's like this.
So-
You were
and
talking
then-
about it in Quantum too.
Yeah, so you just create that. So this way you don't have to think about what you want. You can
It's right-
see
it's
it
everywhere
and then
there.
it just magically runs.
Love that.
So you got to have the energy of that goal. Otherwise, the goal is, Dr. Pete.
No, the
makes
goal
it
was the
5 minutes.
reward I gave to them when
Right.
they have achieved it.
If they achieved it, but you're assuming
When they achieve
I'm
it.
saying that when they achieve it, but you're now assuming now that everybody wants that type of goal.
Everybody. It was very, very well thought out.
Okay.
It was a. You want to know? You want to know?
I mean, if it's a financial goal, you blew it.
No, it's not a financial goal. It was we don't do days off here, but we were going to financial did a paid day off, and I chose a very specific day. You want to know what day it was?
Easter,
No, it was the Friday before Memorial Day weekend.
you were gonna close.
I'm going to close that Friday. We're always closed the Saturday of a holiday weekend, and they get off on Monday. That's a 4-day weekend. Tell me somebody who's going to get paid for that day and also has the day off. So yes, there was a financial goal. It was a day off goal.
Yeah,
it was
better.
a love goal.
Yeah.
It was an everything goal, and it was a perfect of a time goal. I thought I am the master of all masters when I came up with this. Now we've got to achieve this goal.
Get it.
Because I want it. I think I want it more than anybody, and then I was probably going to take that day off anyway.
Same.
But I want that. I want it for everybody because I really, really am excited about everything kind of falling into place.
What it feels like for Jocelyn is different than what it feels like for Lauren, which is different what it feels like for you
And Miguel.
and Dr. Taylor, et cetera. So they have to express that feeling, right?
See
on
it.
what that means and
Right.
see it happening.
Right.
Anchor it
You got to tell
to
Tony that I'm
something.
going to go down there and just take about 50 of these because these are going to be the tokens and they're going to be absolutely everywhere.
And
In every office.
And that's but everyone has to have a feeling, and they have
Yeah.
to have their own feeling. Like, can't give my feeling to you and your feeling to you. It's just because then it's not real.
No, it's your feeling
Yeah.
in me, and that's not
And you got-
not going to create the magnet.
Right. So
Or the echo, return, whatever it is. That's how bats fly, right? So,
that's how it is. Send it out,
go.
bring it back.
boom. I love it.
Bats fly.
That's
Bats
how they
fly.
are,
Yeah,
right?
you're a bat.
I'm a bat. Not yet. I'm trying to become a bat.
You're,
This is the
Batman.
most ridiculous
The
thing.
bat. You're
But
a bat.
it's like the fact that we completely understand that I am trying to get to be a bat. Right now, I'm sending the radar out, but I don't have the. Well,
Well, you
I'm
gotta
sure
sit
it's
in
there.
silence.
Yes,
That's the biggest thing. It's this. You sit in silence.
but that's the exercise.
That's
Like
the exercise.
I have an
That's-
idea now. What does it feel like here? Is that really what I feel like? Is this really the type of practice that I want?
Probably not, but it just makes you money.
He
so
knows
you're
it.
good with it.
No,
It
we
just
help a
makes
lot
you
of
money.
we have a lot of patients. Look, I did my homework. I was going to talk. Remember, you said you're going to do metabolic. He was going to do, and I was going to do rehab. And I'm like, I went into something that I really liked, which was the joint by joint theory by Gray Cook.
Okay.
Do you know anything about that?
what is that?
Every other joint in your body is one is a stable joint, one is a mobile joint, one is a stable joint, one is a mobile joint, right? So that's the joint by joint theory. So, let's just talk. Your shoulder is a mobile joint, your elbow is a stable joint, your wrist is a mobile joint, right? Your scapulothoracic is a stable joint, your thoracic spine is a mobile joint. So, and it's those change reactions. So you talk about spine, obviously, and you do amazing corrections of the spine.
Even though all joints are mobile,
Yes, well, some mobile joints are more stability joints to allow the mobile joints to move, right? So you have your shoulder joint, which is a ball and socket joint, and your scapulothoracic joint is kind of the anchor. So that has to be stable in order for your shoulder joint to move. That's how you tear your shoulder, right? So now you can have perfect curves and still tear your shoulder. So if you tear your shoulder and you remove all the subluxations, you still have to do something about that shoulder, do you not?
I don't, but yeah, somebody does.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't. I just go see so and so.
Well, I'm just
Right,
okay.
no, but you know how to identify. You know how to identify that
CP
problem.
because
Go
that's
CP.
what I do. See, I think the two we should have to combine our practices.
We should.
I'll bring one of you guys down.
If the
here.
tear
Those
is there,
guys.
if the tear in the rotator cuff is there,
Right.
you have to address the cause, but you may have to rehab the tear,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Or even surgically repair the tear. at times.
The tear is the effect.
Right.
not the cause.
Right.
But it's also the effect. It might be also the effect of lack of nerve transmissions, right, and everything like that. But it also could be. I mean, I'm sure that's probably the underlying. But if the scapular thoracic joint was not creating stability due to horrible posture for 20 years, and now you started to take a stable joint, which is supposed to kind of hold on to everything, so to allow your shoulder to move properly, if that starts to move improperly, now this becomes more unstable, and that's when you tear.
Right.
So if you had just stabilized your scapula onto your thoracic spine, then you wouldn't have not torn your shoulder blade.
Right.
But I guess also, if there was proper communication between brain and body, I'll give you that. I'll
If-
go back.
if
I'll
you
deepen
said
it up.
If they had proper posture, then their scapula would move proper, and then they wouldn't have torn their shoulder.
There you go. But what happens
Did
when?
you request a dental roll? Did I get a call in my office?
I did. Do you understand how freaking difficult it is to just find a place to buy the dental roll? I have
We
gone
just
on
don't
CBP.
give 'em
What's
to anybody.
What? Yeah. No, I'm an
Ideal Spine.
No.
Ideal
There's a
Spine.
place in Europe that you get the dental rolls from.
No, go to idealspine.com. They
Okay,
have dental
thank
rolls.
you.
You could probably get one on eBay.
I'm gonna buy one. I have a patient who
I have a 500 of them. Just tell
I
me
need.
which one you want.
I need one. Can we start with one?
What
I don't want to mess
What
up
color and for
the
who?
white one.
Okay.
What do you want me to tell him the
Cervical?
patient's name? Cervical. Yeah, it's a cervical.
Cervical white medium.
Yes.
Okay.
I need him to put it on C6.
Why did you? Why?
I had Greg. I went over it with Greg. I'm like, all right, tell me if I got this right. He goes, yeah. He's like, it's where his curve started to, kind of lock.
You know, just don't, Greg only took an elective at chiropractic school. I just want to say he didn't even. Come
Above
to,
all,
he
do
didn't
no
even-
harm. I promise you, this
I'm just
gentleman
saying,
will do
he
much better by
chose-
just
He
trying to
chose
do-
not to even come to the CBP seminar this weekend. So
Did
last
Taylor
week.
go to the CBP?
Yes, we did.
Oh, yeah. all right.
Yes,
I thought
she did.
you were doing it. I thought you were
No,
performing
no,
this.
no.
Well, now hold on a second. You guys had a training with Dr. Fred, and I told Miguel, you got homework.
Yeah.
Got to teach me 3 things. I come in, he goes, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Oh!
It went long. It went long. I fell asleep too.
You fell asleep too.
Yeah.
What is
'Cause I-
what is it,
I
9
was-
o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning? What
It
was
was
it?
supposed to be 1 hour, and it went. I had me till 10:15.
Oh, forget about it. Wait, when did it start?
Started at 9, but it was
9
supposed to be
p.m. You
1
started
hour.
anything at 9 p.m. in your life?
I didn't want to, but this was just like a introductory to the boot camp coming in June. So I
Yeah.
had my team registered, and
Got
I
it.
said, watch it if you want. He's going to send a replay.
Can we talk a
anyway.
little bit more about Fred? You have been talking about Fred since I've known you.
Yeah, Fred is just an insane mindset guy. He just sees things on it different.
Fred who?
Dr. Fred DiDomenico.
D. Domenico. I've heard that
Elite
name.
coaching. He's had a couple practices around.
Yeah.
He's very interesting dude. He's a little strange.
All right.
Good
Good morning, Dr.
person,
Schmaus.
Very passionate. He stands on. He's a no vaccines for children. So that was his thing. Go all the way through school, college, and chiropractic, and that's what So that was his thing. But so he developed a coaching program, and it's all built on mindset, right? And then systems afterwards.
He's got it all.
He's got the mindset part of it.
My favorite chiropractor in New York City is David Rowe, who's
Right. He was
CBP. He's CBP and he's Gonstead. So this guy is structure.
Right.
And he said how much he loves Dr. Fred.
Yeah.
And Fred's a mindset guy. So I just find it very interesting that
Yeah.
you guys are structural, engineering-like, and at the same time
Ethereal.
working between the
Yeah.
between the ears.
Well, it doesn't matter what you know if you can't help people. So I go to all these CVP seminars, and all these guys struggle to build practices because they're so analytical. So when you're in the room with someone and you're talking about information,
4.2 degrees. Like, people
I
don't
just-
receive that.
Dr. Fred just put out, and I took a picture of it on my phone, is the studies that have been coming out over the last year that in the medical doctor or a doc chiropractor, when you're doing some type of report, the patient will forget up to 80% of what you say in 24 hours.
But they'll remember exactly how they felt while you were saying
Right.
it.
So you have to have experiences, stories, and images. Like when I say like your nervous system is not functioning to, it gets turned down like a dimmer switch. Now they see the dimmer switch.
Right.
It has to run like a river when I touch their back. So we're trained to give these experiences and analogies, social proof, images, things like that. When you start, then all these chiropractor guys, they used to come to my office, and I have some in New Jersey who come up to train in my office, and they're all instructors of CBP, and they're like, but you didn't talk about the numbers. I was like, I'll never talk about the numbers. Because if I start focusing on the numbers, then I'm focusing on the end result of their structure, not their optimal health and their lifetime in my office, right? So
What does it feel like to be a patient of yours and
Yeah.
have that experience?
Yeah, so they just can't get it, and that's why they struggle. And that's where Fred comes in, but they're so
They
analytical.
don't understand that they have to know the numbers so that they're providing.
Right, you have to know what you know so you can provide the best service, but you don't. I never even really go.
You could also use that to manipulate people, though. So it's dangerous because you're a freaking ninja with that stuff.
Well, you just do it with
With love.
love,
Yeah.
right? Not malicious.
Well, if I look at you, I mean, I just see love, of course.
I will fuck you up. Don't make me kill you. So Fred is good, and he always has science. He wrote books on CBP. He wrote books on corrective care. He's been on TV promoting, structural stuff. He's got Back to Health book. He's got a Healed book, so he has books that are, and he does classes. He does a Healed seminar all on how to heal the body, and he goes around the country doing Healed seminars. And
Does he do any metabolic stuff as well?
no.
Oh, sounds like an introduction, sir.
Well,
They know each other. They're born together.
yeah. No,
We're on the
Fred is great.
Strange.
With the core we have on Wednesday night when we did our live, these guys want to jump into the blood work so quickly, and it's like, hold on a second.
Right.
Before we discuss, and I say this to my patients, is before we discuss numbers on a piece of paper, what does it feel like for you to solve your top 3 problems? Now, in the world of metabolic health, when people have chronic I don't feel good itis, which is the main diagnosis,
Yeah.
there is no code for it.
It's non-reimbursable.
What happens to people over time when they chronically don't feel good is there's a psychological component where, and every functional medicine specialist is going to run into these people, and where it's like, is their problem really metabolic, or is it between the ears? And I don't have time to be a pseudo-psychologist.
Right.
And one of the guys in the cohort, he attracts some pretty complicated cases. My patient has CKD, and my other patient is type 1 diabetic, and this and that.
I know. What's CKD?
Chronic kidney disease.
Oh.
I'm like, why are you spending
Making
your
us feel
time
stupid.
trying to
Jerk.
become a pseudo-nephrologist? You're a chiropractor.
Right.
You have no business getting in the way of what a medical doctor does. There are specialists who specialize in managing disease who are going to handle. You're not a pediatric endocrinologist to deal with a child with type 1 diabetes, but that type 1 diabetic needs you and needs what you know as a chiropractor, even from a metabolic standpoint. So what are the overarching issues? Type 1 diabetes, of course, their endocrinologist is going to help them manage their insulin and all that. That's fine. But what you're going to do is look at their blood work, look at their history, recognize that type 1 diabetes is also an autoimmune disorder that nobody's addressing. And when you have any autoimmune disorder, you're subject to many autoimmune disorders, and you want to you want to address their immune system while their endocrinologist is dealing with their disease. So that, let's forget the numbers on a piece of paper for a second. What are the top 3 solutions we could provide you if I had a magic wand and I said, these are the 3 main problems in your life that are going to be solved. What are they? And then they say these 3 things. Okay. So thinking out loud, here's what I think we can do to get you there. And then we go over the numbers on a piece of paper. And then it becomes a overarching picture of how the system works, your body, looking at the lab work, what in the lab, it's like an x-ray. Here's where there are malpositions, misalignments, et cetera. We're going to establish structural integrity so that the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine can work together to manage the whole function of the nervous system. So we address blood work exactly the same way. And that's, again, what I think the whole in this guy trying to be a functional medicine specialist is trying to be a pseudo-medical doctor. Right. And he's
just trying to fix the disease.
He's going to fail.
Yeah.
He's going to fail because you'll never be as well-learned, as the nephrologist or, So
what you're trying to do, you get to the rune, the hot button, the life effect, whatever everybody calls it. That's you know,
Right.
because they're not coming in there because their kidneys are failing. They're coming in there because their kidneys are failing, causing something to occur that is affecting their lives.
Right, and what caused that disease to begin with? Right, it's still going to be there. You can manage it with medications and things like that. But if the kidney doesn't heal, then what are you doing?
Right.
Right.
What are you doing about kidney disease?
Sending them
There you go.
Right, but and then the first thing I say is
CKD.
CKD.
I don't treat kidney disease.
Right.
No.
You know, I don't. I got a new patient last week. They have AML. You know, a horrible leukemia.
Yes.
Right.
That one I knew. But I just wanted to.
It's a
give
horrible
it a face
leukemia.
anyway.
I'm not going to be your oncologist. I'm not an oncologist. I'm not going to get in their way. But here's what we need to know about this situation, and then here's what your blood work says, and here's what you can do to improve a lot of these factors, so your own health, your own nervous system can get engaged with the healing process.
I like it.
Magical, man.
It is
He's magical. Love that.
That's
When
how
we,
we
when
roll.
we so you got this little cohort. When do we get to launch this to the world?
In the next few weeks. Right.
Few
right.
weeks. I was not expecting that as an answer.
Yeah. No. So we're creating the content so we created the content. So the structure, the skeleton of the program already exists, but we're adding as we go based on the experience we have from the cohort, and that's going to be something we continue for years. The program is just going to grow and expand. Because again, it's like there's a hole in understanding blood chemistry from what I believe to be a chiropractic philosophy, which is removing interference with the optimal expression of health. That's what we do. If you're going to look at blood work as a chiropractor, that's fine. I think it's a great idea. I think it's needed, and we're metabolically more unhealthy now than we've ever been before. But you still have a responsibility as a chiropractor, right? Don't step out of your lane.
I don't even look out of my lane.
You got tunnel vision.
It's really bad.
You love
You know
that
what
new technology.
you know what the beauty is. You know what the beauty is when medical doctors and other people who are interested in this hear that message. They're like, I want to learn that.
Yeah.
And you
They want
can
to learn it for sometimes alternative reasons.
No. But
Ulterior. Sure.
no, it's not that. They certainly want to help people. I mean, medical doctors recognize that what they're doing is peddling drugs. The American Medical Association came out against that bill that tried to make it so that you can't use public funds to buy cookies and soda. And American Medical Association came out against it.
Right, which makes no sense.
Are these people really for you?
Right.
Are they trying to help you? No, of course they're certainly not. So medical doctors.
What was their scientific reasoning?
They didn't give it. They're just
They don't have to give it.
They don't have to give it.
You know, because listen, we know. I just want to know how they think they're going to justify that with regards to.
What did I share with you?
The food pyramid
this week.
Hi, am I out of all the share? I'm out. You guys definitely replaced me. Martoni, you go ahead and sit over here, man. I got replaced. I left one time.
No, but
I went on one vacation in 4 years.
but this goes to everything that we're talking about, even in your realm, because that paper was released a week ago from the Cleveland Clinic, where they took 50,000 people, and they saw that if they got the flu shot.
Oh, they got the flu. Yeah, you did send that to me.
Yeah, they got 24% greater chance of getting the flu.
Right.
Yes.
And based on that, the people who wrote the paper are like, we have to stop
Giving
giving
the
this
flu
shot.
Right.
But will that happen? Hell no. Hell no. You're not going to stop that machine.
How do you make that science the science that they follow?
You
The science that
educated in
makes
your
sense.
office. I had a lady yesterday who was like, "Can I ask you a favor?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "My sister is coming in from Dominican Republic, and she's super nervous about having her baby because of the mandatory rooms." And I was wondering if you could talk to her and help her understand what she can do. And I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, so you create the culture from inside, right? And they have to know where you stand. Like, it's a no-brainer because I put it on my TVs and I blast all over the place, and I just that's how you just got to educate from the start.
Yeah.
And then they can only lean on, but you have 3 portals, in Bergen County to stand by that message. It's hard.
You know Bergen County, you know Rockland County. Is it county by county?
I know. I'm just saying. It's like you're here. You have 3 offices spread out.
I thought you meant there's 3 portals for them to be like, okay,
No,
this is if you want to choose to do what you want to do. This is the way.
Like you have to set a standard, and you have to live by that standard, because they're always like, whenever they see something in the office that's off of, someone will bring in some type of snack or something, and they're like, does Dr. Chris know you have that snack in here? And then I'm like, where is it? And then I just throw it right in the trash, right? So they know. So you have to stand by those standards so they can lean on you for things like that.
Yeah.
And that's how you can make the changes. Like, Doc, should I get the flu shot? I'm like, do you want to die?
Right. Or you want to get the flu?
Right,
if you want to guarantee yourself getting the flu, and not, that's why when we did the carnivore and we did the fast, and obviously everybody knew. It's like, listen, I am doing my part. I'm trying to see what we got going on. People ask me all the questions in the world. I can't answer, so that's why I asked you.
You have to watch the message of the office.
Yeah.
You have to
we're trying
interview the patients, see what they, what percentage. I was thinking of a way to double your volume, or what percentage of your patients are not sports-related injuries? Do you know that come in for generic chiropractic, like back pain?
No, I mean we have so many niches in our office, so it's very, very difficult for me to come up with that number, right? So I have a scoliosis specialist; he does Schroth. I have pediatric specialist who is all Webster and craniosacral and all that kind of stuff. I have guys like Greg, kind of a general, Dr. Greg and myself. I got Dr. D, who is a phenomenal soft tissue master, fascial manipulation master, that type of thing. So she deals with fascia and everything like that. So she goes from car accidents to sports to just people who, old age and everything like that. I don't know. So it's tough for me to answer that.
Just on the fascia side, it's interesting because your fascia is contiguous throughout your body, from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes, etc. And if you look at nerve transmission and the speed of nerve transmission, you can't explain how the human body moves. When a wide receiver goes out for a pass, and there's going to be a timing between the quarterback and the wide receiver, and they're going to run a pattern and then spin, jump, turn at a certain speed, catch it. The nerve conduction velocity can't explain that.
Really?
Yeah. But the communication system that fascia has, that immediate communication system, explains it. So, fascia is just not this.
It's an insulation blanket, in essence, what you're saying.
Well,
the impulse is immediate to everything.
The impulse is immediate and quicker than nerve conduction velocity, which makes fascia just as much part of the chiropractic message as anything else.
Yeah.
And we've seen imaging where people are injured and their fascia is kind of stuck, right? So doing what you're talking about is super important. But again, in that communication message, not necessarily just a structural pain message.
Right. So I'm picturing, as you're explaining how fascia transmits, it's like nerve, like it's instantaneous. It's like, we're going to have a guy who does the AI on this, right? So when we did it and we had to edit these videos, we had to watch all 49 minutes of it to get to this part to be able to get these words. When AI looks at it looks at it as a whole.
Right.
And that's what it gets the whole thing as a whole. It's how? I don't know. I still don't understand that.
No.
It's just data.
What's amazing is that, if you had, prior to AI, if you had access to a PhD who was an expert in their field, so let's just say that PhD was an expert in fascia. All right. And now you want to talk to someone at the same level to understand the liver and the kidneys or whatever. You got to go find some expert who spent their whole life studying this to be an expert. With AI, you have like 1,000 PhDs or whatever, unlimited number of PhDs talking to each other instantaneously.
Scary.
That's cool.
I'm telling you, that's what
exciting.
Billy keeps on talking about. He goes, you don't even understand. Imagine 1,000 PhDs instantaneously talking all the time. Yeah. Getting to solutions of problems that you didn't even know existed. And he goes, that's what AI is doing like every week. When he's going to speak in Vegas, and they needed his deck a couple of weeks in advance, he goes, I can't give it to you. They're like, no, you have to give it to us. We have to have your deck before it goes up. We have to da-da-da-da. He goes, you don't understand. Like, if I give you that today, in 3 weeks, it's going to be completely different. He goes, it's like the internet being invented every single day. That's how insane it is. Don't be scared, man.
I'm not.
Don't be scared. You got to embrace this. Don't be an old man.
I don't have
Like
to. I'm
these-
just going
these
to pay
kids
people
and
to
their
do that.
crazy rock music.
I'm not interested. I'm just paying people to do it for me. I
you
got
go.
zero interest in that.
I see you everywhere, man. I see you everywhere looking at the light.
Yeah,
You see
man,
your little cut?
I'm just gonna hire people for that.
There you go.
That's it. I'm not doing that shit. I got zero interest in that.
But you're not going to ignore it.
No, I'm never gonna
Yeah.
ignore it. I'm gonna
obviously
utilize
you're
it.
not. Yeah, got to be smart about that. Come on.
Yeah.
You're a smart man.
Smart man.
You're very
smart
smart
enough
guy.
to know not to do it.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
We also talked about becoming a monopoly of one, where, what Gary talked about, Gary V talked about.
Your best friend.
What's up, Gary?
Where are people going to find their trusted advisors? And they're going to find it based on content that they're putting out. So you got to put out the content. And the way to become a monopoly of one is that there are no other Chris DiCarlos. There's only one. And if anybody tries, like if Dr. Taylor says, all right, I learned a lot from Dr. Chris, I'm going to go apply everything I learned in my own practice, that's fine, but she'll never be, like she has to become Dr. Taylor in order to be successful and make it her own and become a monopoly of one, because when you're a monopoly of one, you have no competition, zero. Yeah. If you're a commodity, well then I'm Johnny Chiropractor anywhere USA, and all I do is everything that everybody else learned in school, and you can learn it in school. Now your competition is thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and people are going to look for a commodity cheaper. Like, I just want to get that service cheap.
Smart.
Who wants to run that race where it's
a race to the bottom.
Race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And the entire medical profession has moved in that direction.
Yeah.
So the monopoly of one who is the best eye surgeon in town, everybody's like, I need eye surgery. I'm going to that guy because he's the best. He's a monopoly of one. If I can't get him, I got to go to somebody less than. But now AI is making that eye surgery a commodity where the robot does it. Anyone can buy that robot. Anyone can buy that software.
You should get that robot.
I'm going to start doing eye surgery.
Oh, you're not far off.
Wow.
To get there.
I thought it was a pretty big jump. But
It does-
I see now that it's a very small step. I thought there was a chasm in between what I was doing, and I didn't realize. Sorry, Chris.
By the way, the fascia around your eye muscles.
Very important.
Yeah.
Fascia around your when that wide receiver turns his eyes, it's connected to the fascia that's on his gastroc.
Come on, it's the ocular motor nerve is right there. It doesn't need the fascia. It's like, come on, it's the optic ocular
smarty
motor
pants,
right
this
there.
guy.
Come on.
That communication
Fucking
is
best PT we know.
I would be. I freaking would be.
You would be.
If,
You're
dude,
really
if you
good.
wanted me to be the eye surgeon, I'd be the best damn eye
I'm
surgeon
sure
you
would
know
be.
too, because
I
I
would
would
go
be the
to
only
you.
eye surgeon.
I would go to you because you'd be really happy.
I would
Excited.
I would do anything I'm going to do. I want to do it the freaking best. I'm a competitive freak. I want to be
love
the
that.
best.
You are the best.
So you talk about being a monopoly of one and being the best, but you got to be you, right? So
You gotta
but
be
Kelly. See, I feel like I'm pretty damn unique, and I feel like I own Pete. But Kelly says people don't like Pete.
Laura says that about
I'm
me
too
too.
loud. I got too much energy.
Yeah, Laura says that
I'm
about
too
me
in your
too.
face.
Yeah.
I'm not an empath.
I love that.
So what about that? I'm a monopoly one. I've accomplished that goal, and nobody likes me.
I love that.
she's just trying to keep you down.
That's
That's
right.
but she's doing a really freaking good job, man. You kidding?
Oh my god, I love that. I've mastered myself, but nobody likes me. That's so
Oh
great.
man.
I love that.
So that happened.
I love that. That's Lauren's the same way.
Yeah.
Why you gotta be like that? God, you're so out here. It's embarrassing. Like, 'cause-
Yes.
right?
Oh, embarrassing. I gotta ask
Embarrassing.
other people. Are you embarrassed? And then she's of course gonna get people who are like, well, yeah.
Right. She's
Like,
like
shit.
Like all the time, I'm out there when I'm just being me on the adjusting floor, and Dr. Lauren's always like, "What's wrong with you? You can't say that. Don't be like that. You're too this. You're too that." I'm like,
You see, you don't have to deal with that.
I'm like,
Are you kidding?
We had chose our own problems. So,
Right.
I mean,
Maria's
Yeah,
always
it's
like
fun.
whenever I say, "Oh, they're saying this because they
Right.
this."
Wait, you're
No.
right.
And then Maria's like, "No, you can't say that." Of course I can say
Right,
that.
right. I just did.
I just did. And
I just
mean
did
it.
what they meant to say.
Now I'm going to
was-
say it louder.
Right. right.
Yeah, well, maybe. So that's probably what we do. That
Right, right.
maybe we probably shouldn't do that. That
I
would
think
probably
that's
be
what
gross.
makes us
Us.
successful. Yeah. Total dick.
When I'm out there,
True.
I must have been a nut yesterday. We had such good energy in here yesterday, so I must have been a nut because I don't know. But I'll get some feedback today. We'll see
Yeah,
what
so
happens.
funny.
But I don't care. Like when I'm in that, I'm in my flow. I don't care that I'm loud, and I don't care I'm in your face.
You should journal
morning.
how often you're in that flow.
Oh, I had this. Were you watching my Bizcast? I had an entire Bizcast on the flow state and trying to get to the flow state, and it's just I haven't. It was a couple weeks ago. I remember. Oh, it was my friend Mark who we're going to try to get to the UAC. His daughter's bat mitzvah. We were tore up. And so that was a Saturday night. We were like, it was, listen, you get your friends together from home, and it's been a while. After that, it was like, I haven't found the flow state since then. I'm like, was it the alcohol? Or was it, was it Mercury in retrograde? I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, because we talked about it that Monday after it was when the podcast was on that. But
That's so funny.
How often do you hit the flow state?
It's a good question. It's definitely happening every week. Probably lasts 2 to 3 hours when it happens, and it's probably 1 to 3 times a week.
I think you defined it. I think that's what it was this morning, man. When your brain put it out there. And
By
your
the
heart
way, it
completely-
only happens when my team is doing their thing and I don't have to deal with them, and I'm in my own head.
Quiet
And I'm
space.
Quiet space, doing my thing that only I can do. That monopoly of one.
Which is tell
This
people
is
exactly what
all.
they're trying to feel.
So,
What they're trying to say.
Sorry.
nothing gets me in the flow state better than my discovery call with the new patient. That is the single greatest moment of my week where there's this communication. You just feel the light bulb go off on top of their head, and it's like they get it. That's the flow state for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is when I'm adjusting patients that like a full, like the last 2 days with Dr. Taylor not there, I'm just doing the same amount of people and just flowing through it. It's just when I'm adjusting people that aren't in pain, it's when I'm in my flow state.
Yeah.
When I'm just
Going from table to table to table.
I stacked up
there's-
all 4 tables and just went up
The,
and down
the,
the
the,
rows.
the quality of your care, the busier, everybody
Yeah, it
should
can get
know
better.
this, the busier your chiropractor is, the more they're hopping from room to room to room, table to table to table, that's the best service that you're going to get. If you go to a doctor who's not busy and there's like 20 minutes and they're talking about the football game or the weekend, you're not in an energy state to receive,
Yeah.
right? That level of healing. It's that flow.
What's the best way that you're going that quickly? How are you detecting subluxations at that point? Straight palpation? Are you using leg checks? What do you do?
No, I don't do that. I just because I'm going off X-ray and posture.
Yeah.
So I already.
So you already know.
I already know.
The initial,
But
the initial analysis.
The initial analysis, the
right.
posture visualization when they're up off the table, as they're getting on the table, and and then I just obviously use palpation to see where I'm going from there.
Yeah.
But I know the end all goal is global remodeling.
I'm just talking about when you have to see 4x what you were seeing before. Like I don't know how I would do that because just my analysis takes
Yeah.
some time.
Well,
And I do that on every patient every day.
Yeah. But if you had an end result
Yeah.
that wasn't, like if you knew you had to get, someone to like if someone had to lose 30 pounds, you could quickly analyze that they've lost 4 pounds and keep moving because you know the end result. Like you're checking the subluxations on a daily, but if you knew you had to put a 42-degree curve in it, you could just adjust their subluxations and get them into their
Tractions,
rehabilitation
yep.
quicker,
Mhm.
right? So it shortens up the process.
Rehabilitation. He said rehabilitation.
Oh, it's fun.
He said it out
I
loud.
wanted you to be
He
comfortable.
said it out loud.
I didn't want you to get
heard it
uncomfortable.
here at right 1 hour marker, right on the 1 hour marker,
I just
baby.
wanted you to be comfortable.
Toros, when you do this edit, I want you to make sure you make him repeat that 14 times. Rehab, 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 rehab.
You remember a chiropractor in Chicago named Marshall Dick Holtz?
No, I like
That
that.
name.
If we
It's a
knew
great
that name, I think that's a name that everybody would remember.
So
use
this
that.
guy commissioned the single most published cardiologist on the planet at the time to do a study.
Is this the Atlas?
This is the blood pressure.
Yeah, okay.
Atlas
I
study.
didn't know
So
his name was
Marshall Dick Holtz.
What was his name?
You're just gonna say that 11 more times.
He was a NUCA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which fascinated me always because I never understood that.
Right.
Like I never understood how not only just dealing with one bone in the spine could yield the results that he gets.
One ligament.
It's
The
one
dentate.
bone, one ligament with the softest
touch.
touch
The
possible.
perfect vector.
I went out to his office, which is a great office, and him and his son.
Can we stop
ran
right
the
there? You know
office.
how impressive that is. So you were interested in it. So you went out to his office.
I had a reason to go out there with my buddy Mark, who was doing a lot of scoliosis work, and so I went out there, and the analysis that they go through between X-ray and everything, just to set up the adjustment.
I have a nuchal ruler. I have it here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then the adjustment itself is so subtle, and he was able to get blood pressure change on giving one adjust. I think it was 8 adjustments over 2 months, and it did more for their blood pressure than 2 medications per day for blood pressure.
Giving me the chills, man.
It's the most amazing study. Dr. Bacris was the cardiologist who told
Sorry,
his
what was the
team,
other doctor's name again?
Dick Holtz.
Idiots.
But I actually used that study. I didn't know it was Dick Holtz, but I used that study. Like, there was 2 major medications. We won't name names.
Right.
It was a better effect and longer lasting.
Better effect, longer lasting, and Dr. Bacris told his whole team, run the entire analysis over again. You made a mistake. He just couldn't believe it, and they ran it again. And you know how much media we got?
Zero.
A little Chiron
Yeah.
at the bottom of CNN. And
Explain to
all
me,
these
what were
people-
the side effects from the nuchal adjustment?
0.
Not a single one?
Not a single
Can we
side
claim that? Like, or are we going to get shut off or shut down? Not a single side effect?
Not a single side
Do we
effect.
know what the known side effects are for the 2 major blood pressure medications?
Yeah, it's like every
It's
other
written
pharmaceutical
down, yeah.
commercial that you watch where they
Death, dismemberment, disfigurement.
locusts and
Frogs, vermin. Is that Passover? That's coming out, or is that Rosh Hashanah? So,
That's
yeah.
so fun. Yeah, so you should use that.
Why don't you put that on your TVs, man?
Really.
Could you imagine adding the curve correction to a nuka and
I
everything
toggle
like that?
people all the time.
I toggle. I lost
love
my
toggle.
toggle table, man. It was my old table, so now my table goes down on an angle. So I
That's
still
okay.
try to do it, but
I still try to.
well, it's not true
Marshall
toggle.
Dickles just fucking rolled
Yeah,
over.
right.
He rolled over.
That's
Sorry,
nuka.
Yeah.
That's
rolled
nuka.
over in his
We have an Atlas
grave.
orthogonal guy right over here in Park Ridge. Kelly used to go there when she was getting some headaches and stuff like that. Listen,
I got blown away by that when I was doing a lot of concussion work,
Yeah.
because when your brain isn't functioning very, very well and is energetically depleted, we know that if you just start jumping on the body and doing rehab and all that stuff, you're adding so much information. The demand for fuel is so great that you can actually you can cause that person to.
crash. Metabolic capacity.
Yeah.
Eric was just telling me with the neurologist. So Kelly's brother is a diplomate in neurology, chiropractic neurology, and metabolic capacity is like you get to that and you're doing great, and if you go one step over that, you just completely crash. Like they're worse than they were before you came. Right. So you have to. That's crazy. What do you do about that? Metabolic capacity.
I just fix their curves. Their body heals themselves. They wouldn't need nuka if they had normal curves.
Did you know that Steve is metabolically superior to all of us?
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's true.
True. That's true. He is true.
Oh.
He is metabolically superior.
Well,
I'm intellectually superior than most.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just who I am.
What you're trying to say.
Just the way.
Maria loves that.
Yeah.
That she's
I
she's
tell
all
her
on board.
every day just
she's
in
trying
case
to
she
say.
forgets.
Did you know that Paige is going to Tennessee?
University of Tennessee.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah.
I like
Gonna be
that.
a Vol.
There you go. She's a Vol.
Yeah.
When are you leaving? Are you going to Florida this coming week?
Yeah. I'm going to Florida and I'm going to Columbia.
What are you doing in
You doing a
Colombia?
mission trip?
I'm doing a mission trip.
What? Now he's back. Would you just didn't want us to come? So
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
right? I
and
was
then
like all on board with that.
No,
I was,
no,
what happened?
You guys are not part of the
We're not cool.
that crowd. But one day you will be. Don't worry.
I love it. Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of a crowd that doesn't want me to be there, man. I don't know about you. You definitely don't care about that at all.
I mean, I go just for the fun of it.
Yeah, of course.
You would go to learn how to adjust people.
Oh, here we
So
go.
I'm going to Florida. So you're leaving today from Morocco.
I'm leaving this evening. Yeah. Where are you going?
Easter's next week.
That's correct. Greek Easter's the following.
No, it's the same.
The following week is a normal week, and then I'm going to Florida for my son's graduation. I might be going to Colombia in May. Right after that,
You're coming down to Miami with us?
Yeah.
Yes.
you guys are going to UAC and
Hell yeah.
Formula One,
Formula One.
and then
You're going to take care of my kids while Kelly and I go out and drink. You could go to sleep at 9 o'clock. You just have to be there.
That's fine.
All right.
Anything to get me out of going out with a bunch of dickheads.
Oh, yeah, guys. Everybody's going to hear this, man. This one's going to go on the
You put it
UAC.
on UAC.
Yeah. We should have Mark and Brian just do a combined podcast with their podcast. And just have
we
the
were
greatest
talking
time.
about UAC being a, it's such a unique collection of successful doctors who, in their own right, are doing their own thing. It's not a. We're attracting people in our profession who are entrepreneurs, who are clinicians, who are everything. And what we want to do is create almost like a private equity group that has people from the outside who are building businesses that service our profession to create a private equity fund to fund their ideas.
Wasn't that the Shark Tank thing that we started down in Boca?
Well, yeah, but Shark Tank is kind of that is the idea, but now we're developing the idea so that we can bring in our expertise. Right, when private equity comes in, they bring in their expertise, they bring in their teams, they bring in their systems. So we're still discussing how that could work. But the problem with private equity is that, if you sell your practice to a private equity firm, they're just going to turn it into a commodity.
Yeah.
They're going to turn it into a commodity, and they're going to turn it into something that is theirs. And they're just money people. They're not.
No. I disagree. The best use of private equity is not so much only their money, and you got to go with it's the influence.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there's a lot of people in UAC has
who have
influence. You have,
influence, correct.
800,000
No, no,
followers, and
I get
and-
no. You're 100% right. What I was trying to say.
Bird, you got him, Pete. I knew you could do it.
I got him, guys.
You got
This
me.
is it. That was your last Three Dogs Coffee podcast. We
Mic
nailed
drop.
How many companies that service us don't service us the way they should because they're being run by people who are not us,
Right.
right? So that's the attraction that we want to create. Let's attract the companies that need our expertise.
I mean, and not only that, I like
about
you're having your finger on the pulse. You kind of know also, like, this is something that can be successful, will be successful. This is not this is not so much of a gamble,
Right.
as a lot of private equity investments are.
If Chris has an investment in one of these deals, then he can go into that team and do a mindset training with them, and then Dr. Steve can go in and do a systems analysis training on their management team and their marketing and all that stuff, and then Dr. Allen can go in and say, well, here's where your use of employees is inefficient, and we can use virtual assistants and AI and all that stuff. So we have the experts in our group that can take a company and really.
Why don't we try that? Why don't we just try to open up a practice with, just a random hodgepodge of the experts over there? Say this is
already happening.
Franson's thing and Mark's thing and Chris's thing. And
So it's happening in an unorganized way. I mean, 45 businesses have started within the UAC since we started. 45 businesses. We started measuring our
46
financial.
is going to be our decompression clinic, by the way.
46. what?
Our decompression
yeah,
clinic will be the
yeah.
46. I'm just waiting for this.
But I think a whole bunch of those are being started now. So that number's just going to grow. In 2020, we started looking, what is our economic contribution as a group? It was $100 million in economic contribution. Now it's $400 million, in just a few years, without that much of an increase in the number of members. So there's something there that needs to be better organized, so we can attract not new members for the sake of new members, but the right new members.
Got it?
Got it.
Got it. You got to go to the bathroom, don't you?
I can always go to the
I was like, it's about that. I'm like,
Diabetes.
this guy
That's a diabetes.
His
I
prostate
I
is flaring.
I look
like
at
a
that
tiki
thing, and as
torch.
soon as it hits like an hour 10 or something like that, I'm like, this poor
This
guy.
guy's gotta pee.
This guy, you're such an old man.
What is this picture here?
That's my house.
Upstate?
The house
Yeah.
upstate. This is your little cigar area.
Yeah, where-
When are we going to come up
I
there?
was about to
Let's
say,
sit
where's
down
the
and smoke
invite?
cigars.
They got opening it up now.
Who's they?
My landscaper guy.
All right.
Let's get a fire going.
You know who was the first person to ask me about that? Hey, Dad, when's Chris opening up his house? Can we go up there and ride our
Yeah.
dirt bikes?
Yeah,
That
definitely.
he was the
It's that
first one.
time. It's getting there.
Now's the time. All right, you let me know.
They're charging all the lake is empty. My boat is not going to be in the water this year because they're rebuilding the dam. But that's my fire pit for my cigars.
Yeah.
My lounge area. My dock.
I will have some
Fish.
cigars with you.
You can fish there and smoke and hang out. The
You
house-
won't drink, but I will.
The house is right here. It's like this big. What? It's a teeny house.
You have one of those?
Smoking cigars for me is like playing golf. It's all about the people you're with.
Yep.
There's nothing to do. I hate golf.
I-
If I had to play by myself, I hate it. But if
Yeah.
I'm with the right foursome,
Yep.
it's a great time.
And I'm same with cigars. I'm not a cigar smoker. I could care less. But if I'm gonna hang out with you guys in a fire pit or something like
Yeah.
that, I'll smoke 10. I'm
I'm with you. I'm the same.
I would love it. It's so a little background music in there and everything
Yeah,
like that.
have speakers out there.
Yeah.
My Sonos.
What is your music of choice though?
Put yacht rock radio on.
Yacht rock? This is
I
my
listen
vision.
Toto.
I'm picturing it here. I picture a little bit of like an essential folk type of thing when
It's
we're
nice
out there
and
like that.
easy,
Nice
yeah.
folky type
Keep
of.
it low. I put the fire
And
on.
the
Yeah.
rains
Pit,
down
just
in
like-
Africa.
Yeah, put my yacht rock
But like
radio
an
on.
acoustic version of that, like strip it down a little
Sit
bit.
there and I look
Yeah.
at the water and there's eagles and
Sunsets?
flying around.
Do we get
It's
sunsets?
100 direct view of the sunset. And we sit there every night. I just sit
Magical,
there.
man. I'm gonna be your boyfriend up
great.
there. Let's go.
It's nice. You can ride and you can take the motorcycle right off the truck and straight into the riding for hours.
Hours.
Straight. Nothing. I could take you for a day's worth of riding without seeing the same trail.
You're gonna bend your bars.
They do. No, I do ride an old machine, so I'm always sore as fuck. It's bad. But
You know what would help?
I hate
Rehab.
Rehab. No, getting my quad is from 1986.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
You know the town Roscoe, New York?
Yeah,
Of course.
we have a
How
campground there.
how far is that?
About an hour.
About an hour
Yeah,
from
we
you.
had a 9-acre campground up there.
So that property is going. I mean, I know people who've been trying to buy up there, and took them forever to find.
Yeah.
Piece
Well,
of property
it
like
has
that.
always been for the last 80 years #1 trout town
that's what
in
we
the
sold to.
country.
We had a campground there. We sold
Yeah.
it to some trout
Yep.
people.
What is that little ski mountain they got there?
Craig, no. I used to go there because
got
I was in Binghamton.
Gondolas. They got the.
No, that was by that's not even there anymore. That was at exit 107. That was Fallsburg. Sun Mountain, Happy Mountain.
No, it
Whatever.
was a Holiday Mountain.
Holiday
It's still there.
Mountain. Is it
That's
still
where my
there?
house is.
That's where your
That's
house
my
is?
exit.
107?
109. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Pines Hotel. I used to go to the Pines
Yeah,
Hotel
yeah.
every year.
Pines Hotel.
Brickman's, Kutcher's.
Yeah, I go there.
The Raleigh. Come on.
go
Jewish
there.
geography.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
dude. He's not a very Jew. Most
I
Italians
am
are.
an
I'll tell you
honorary
the truth.
Jew. I go to all those places still.
Yeah.
No, the ones that exist now. And that's where, they took the Concord and made it
Yeah.
into the casinos.
Yep.
So I'm there. That's my exit. That's my
Aw.
ski hill. Actually ride my four-wheelers at the ski hill.
Huh.
Yeah, in
There
the
you go.
summer. They make tracks and trails and stuff there, so it's fun.
And there you go. There you have it,
my
my
house.
friend.
You should get a bicycle.
I do have a bicycle. I do ride around the lake, jerk. It's only 4 miles though.
It's pretty flat,
It's not-
too, because
it's
you
not
hit that
flat.
one little hill over there. Can we do that again?
Yeah, man.
Please? Will you do that again?
Yeah, let's give me a month. Jerks.
It's mind over matter at that point, man. I mean, just don't be weak. Weak in the mind.
Not weak. My legs were tired.
When the body quits, the mind takes over. To all my Sigma Nu people there, ladies and
That was
gentlemen.
good. That was good.
That's our credo.
I like that.
Well, it's not our credo, but it's one of our things. We were formed in VMI, so, we're pretty military, Were you in a fraternity?
No.
Were you in a fraternity?
No, we're not a
I
pansy.
make fun of. I make
Me too.
fun-
I'm
I
not-
make fun of my son.
Hey, I'm not a little
Being
bitch.
groupthink.
Group
Groupthink. Follow the crowd.
Hey,
Be a leader.
hey.
So Paige
Careful.
said, University of Tennessee, they have this pre-law group that's kind of like a sorority, but it's all about academics. I'm like, atta girl, it's my girl.
That's right.
Yeah.
What was the chiropractic
Not
fraternity?
there,
that
There
in the-
was one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kelly
yeah.
was in it.
There were
Just
there
two,
were-
actually.
there were
Yeah,
two.
Kelly was in one
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah,
No, I
was
didn't
not
know
in
that.
it.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
At my school, Life University had them?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think so.
All-
I just
all
went
the
to school.
schools.
Kept my
Right.
head down.
Well, because you knew exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, it's just not. I didn't even know that was.
I don't know. I was in Atlanta at a good time to be in Atlanta. So were you? Wait, when did
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I was probably.
You were there for the Olympics, right? Or no?
I went right. I was out right the quarter before they lost their accreditation. I graduated.
Even though you were 100 years older than me, you were there 2 quarters ahead. You graduated 2 quarters ahead of me.
I guess.
God, look at you, man.
You guys were there at the same time?
Yes, we were.
Oh,
I feel Lauren was too.
she was a year before me. She graduated. So yes, she was there.
Yeah. So I mean, my roommate was in the quarter behind you. He was able to double up and get out,
Yeah.
and I was not. I got screwed, but it's all right. Everything happens for a reason, sir.
Does sir?
I met my wife.
I met your wife too.
Yeah.
We all did.